On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
Talk to your employees. You'll find out everything you need to know about your business from them and facilitate a culture in which they're okay talking to you.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got William Bocast here on the King stage. My brother, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Bro, how did I butcher that last name on that?
No, you actually got it perfect, man. Just had a wonderful glass of Culligan water to start the day, of course, and some coffee made with Culligan water. So promoting the brand shamelessly.
Yeah. Excited to have you here, man. I just realized right when I hit the record button that I hadn't asked you about your name, and it's always the ones that I don't ask ahead of time where I'm like, oh no, but you're saying I did it, so that's great. I'm excited to hear your business story, man. I'm excited to get to know you here. You obviously have already kind of hinted at what kind of business that you're in, but for clarity's sake, what kind of business do you own, brother?
Oh, yeah. So I own a Culligan water dealership here in Chico, California. We serve a huge area. If you're familiar with California, so we go down almost to Sacramento, then all the way up to the Oregon border. So huge tract of land, helping people with their water, helping people with their problems. That's what I say we do, man. You've got a water problem, we have a water solution. So whether that water smells wrong, it has the wrong color to it, it's got hard minerals in it, and it ruins all the things in your house. What we do is we know all these problems, we've dedicated to solving these problems, and so we can walk to someone's house and give them a fantastic solution, solve all these problems, and make their life better. So we're a problem solver.
Yeah, I love that, as all business owners are, and so that's why you and I we're gonna unwind a few things that you've done over the years that hopefully can help the listener. Before we get started in your journey, though, I want to know, you're a young guy. We've both got young kids, and we've talked business, we've talked family, we've talked energy, but why are you doing this, man? Why do you push as hard as you do? What's the bigger play for you?
Because it's fun. It's enjoyable. Building and growing and doing all these things. And to me, it's about success for a couple of different factors. I didn't grow up with the most stuff as a kid. And so for me, I think selfishly kind of some in the beginning was like, I need to build this so my kids can have more opportunity than I did, which is a story. And I think a lot of business owners have, you want to build that success so my kids can have that success as well. And it kind of actually morphed too into a thing of, I want that same success for my employees.
Yeah.
And I want to build a culture, and I want to build a place where everyone loves coming to work every day, which is really, really hard to do, because there's going to be bad days at work. There's bad days no matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter how much you love your job. So that's right. Throwing that out kind of out the window, but I wanted to build a place that I love to come to work, right? Because that's one of the great things you can do as a business owner is you can make the culture whatever you want it to be.
Right.
So why not make it the best culture out there? Right. Make it the place everybody wants to work at. Make it the place where people come into work. Gosh, we had a guy, we call him the singing salesman, because every time he came into work, he's singing. I got a guy, I got some techs and stuff that come in, and they just light up your life, the customer's life, your other employee's life, because they love being here. Got a guy, I can't tell him what time to come in the morning, because no matter what, he's here sooner than that, because he just can't wait to get to work. And so you embrace that mentality. And so for me, what I can do, an opportunity I've been given, is I can turn and give them success as well. So it's all about teaching them, getting them to grow, be better, push themselves. When they're in uncomfortable situations, how do we deal with that? Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's always a fun one, right? So what I want to do is just pass on what I've learned, what I'm learning still,
Yeah.
and to be able to help people also be more successful. And so to me, that it translated from not just my family alone, but to my employees. And so that's the number 2 reason. Probably number 3 is I want to help my community. Water treatment isn't easy. I've been in an industry 15 years and I'm still learning.
Wow.
And it's just a really difficult market. There's tons of things on the internet, that are true, not true, this, that, companies trying to sell you stuff. And I don't want to sell anybody anything. I want education. That's our primary focus, is educating our customer. And so that's what we do. We educate them, and then they can make a decision. Do they want to be a Culligan customer, or do they want to go somewhere else? If they go somewhere else, I'll still help them, because I'm about building relationships. And that's number 3. I want to build relationships with people, my customers, and
take care of the community.
Money's the last thing. If you do, I think if you do these things first, the money will come, the success will come. But if you're more focused on the numbers as opposed to what the culture and what the feeling and what the community environment's telling you, sometimes it gets lost.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree completely. And it's like you took the play or the playbook right from a page in Gathering the Kings, because we talk about this transition from warrior to king, warrior being obviously selfish and you have to survive the literal battle. That's okay. There's a period of time where you have to do that in order to grow the business. But at some point, there has to be a bigger perspective, and it's about buying your time back for your family. It's about pouring into your team. It's about pouring into your community, because that's the perspective of a king, right? It's the weight of the crown, if you will. It's the all this stuff happening all at the same time, all the way around me. And it's okay that all these people are counting on me, because this is kind of what we're made for. And when you said it's fun, I get to go after it, it doesn't mean necessarily that there aren't challenges, right? We're going to get into some of those, but it's what you're designed for. You've water bottles or no water bottles, you're designed for this, man. And so I think that we had a little bit of fun talking about that before we hit the record button, but it's who we are. We would be doing this no matter the widget. And so I appreciate you sharing. I want to get into your story just a little bit. How did you get into the water treatment business? How did you even become a business owner? Give us a little bit of the beginnings.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I didn't start into this business even thinking or knowing about owning, what have you. I got into it just by, I was working 2 jobs. I was kind of going on and off school. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, didn't know what I wanted to do. Sure. And then heard the grapevine from some friends that they were hiring over at Culligan for a route delivery driver. So I was a manager at a Subway, baking bread, making sandwiches, doing this, that, the other thing. And it's like, hey, we're looking for a route delivery driver, which is delivering 40-pound bags of salt, driving a big F550 around, very different job. And so I was like, well, there's nowhere to go in the food industry. So I took a pay cut, to come take this job, started off delivering salt, doing that. And I did that for a couple of years, worked my way up, became a service technician. So that way I could work on equipment, work on treatment equipment, residential, commercial, fix water softeners and water filters and whole house systems and commercial things. So I learned how to fix stuff and problem solve. Yeah. And from there, learned installation. So I got involved in the installation department. I got involved in the warehouse. So I was kind of working, but I still had this education's important.
Yeah.
I think I got that kind of from my mom. And so I was going to night classes, I was doing this. And then I suddenly was just like, what if I just commit to something? Like, I'll commit to school, I'll commit to this, I'm going to commit to these things. And so I worked for a guy, one of our customers actually, and doing agriculture.
Okay.
So
a complete left turn.
Yeah. So while I'm working at Culligan, right, one of the guys working here was working weekends for him. And he came and talked to me and he's like, hey man, I'm doing this for this guy this weekend. It's really hard work. I'm working out in the fields. I'm doing this. And I'm like, that sounds like fun. Can you give me his number? I'd like to call him up and see if I can get a job. So I called him up, negotiated a career, a job, and I started working for this guy. And what was so cool about this is I saw a guy, he had an almond orchard, which we call them almonds. It's what we call them around here. Yeah. But he had an almond orchard. And so I ended up helping him with that. We did a bunch of different projects around, but this dude loved going to work every day. He didn't have to. He didn't have to go work out in the orchards and do this, but he wanted to. I looked at that and I was like, I want something here. I want this. And I thought it was in agriculture. So
got it.
So I was like, I'm going back to school, gonna get a degree, ag business, and that's what I want to do. Something in agriculture. That fire lit me up that I could see somebody have. So I'm working at Culligan at the same time. And so I started going to more night classes, but now I have a direction. I want to transfer to the university here, get a 4-year degree. Sure. And so I took 2 accounting classes at the same time. And I did special permission. No one's ever done it. Teachers told me, pick one, you're going to fail it. No one can pass both at the same time, right? I had the highest grade in both classes. Wow. But that's because devote yourself to it. No regrets. I don't want to look back and go, what if I did a little bit better? What if I worked a little bit harder? You don't want to lose those.
Lay it all out on the field, as they say.
Exactly. So I was braggadocious to the owners at the time that, hey, I did this thing. I passed both classes. And they're like, interesting. Our accounts receivable person just quit. You want to come work in the office and do like accounting stuff? And I'm like, well, sure. And at that time, we didn't have anybody with any tech knowledge in the office. So we couldn't offer a tech support line. Well, here you go. This guy that's been working in the company for all these years. Now I'm in the office and I had to figure out how to use the phone and the software and all stuff. But now I was thrust into this, hey, I can answer people's questions because I've worked on it. I built it, I fixed it. I can advise people that walk in the door. And now I became an expert in this. So fast forward, again, I'm getting my degree. I took 25 units my last semester because I'm crazy. 4.0, top of my class. You got to do it. You do it, right? You got to do it right. So I had 2 job opportunities. One was here at Culligan as the operations manager. I had a second one for USDA.
Okay.
They wanted me for a couple different things. So my mom she's like, you got to go for USDA. It's a guaranteed job, gonna have great benefits, but the rest and that thing. But with Culligan came a caveat.
Okay.
That if I stayed on and I helped them build their business and then pay off their debts, I get first shot at buying that business. And that was like the crossroads in your life, right? Do you take the easy road, the USDA government safe job and have the white picket fence and the simple, or do you dive into that chaos on the other side? And so I was like, I'm going for it. I'm going for the chaos, man. To me, it seemed more fun. And I didn't want to leave something on the table because USDA was always there as a backup. Yeah. So I jumped into Culligan, became the operations manager, then had to become the sales manager. So I had to learn about sales.
You've been in every department, bro.
Oh yeah. Like I walked in, and this is the thing for me is I walked in, with a degree in business, thinking I knew what I was doing. I would talk about mistakes. Here's the biggest mistake ever. And so I did things the way you're supposed to do it, the way I thought things were, the way the management class told you to do it. Sure. It didn't work. It failed. And so what I decided was like, what if you do everything the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing? Like the exact opposite.
Yes.
Do it. Don't do it the same. Do it the other way. And do you know what happened?
Ding.
Success.
Okay, so tell us, give us some practicals here. We're all on the edge of our seat going, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, okay, perfect. So we talk about motivating people, right? Most companies, you have that mid-level manager who hands out write-ups, hands out disciplinary, shuts people down.
Okay.
And when you shut people down that way, they're scared to go be successful because they're scared of the repercussions.
Sure.
But what if you ignore all those, basically, right? There's some things you have to talk to people on.
Yeah.
But what if you just celebrate the success? Just look at the positive, build on the positive, give them tools to be more positive, give them the things they need to be. Instead of, harping on someone for being late every day, find out why they're late. See if you can help them. See if you can help them build a trend to be more successful.
Yeah.
Let them give them the tools, right? I say, life, you have a tool belt. And you're given tools, and you can choose to put in your tool belt, you can choose to throw it on the ground. But if you've got it in your tool belt, you can use it again and again, and you can build and you can make better tools on your tool belt so you can go and be more successful.
Sure.
And I think that's when things started to change. Also, like I talked before, always be the dumbest person in the room. Just learn, just whatever. Everyone's out there. There's some fantastic resources. Just listen, learn. Don't be too committed to one of your own ideas.
Yeah, that's good.
For for us, we have a bunch of different departments, right? We've got a service department that's working on stuff. We've got an installation department. We've got a route department. We've got, people in the office answering phones. Well, if I'm going to change something for my route delivery's driver's job, right?
Yeah.
I better bring him in on it.
Yeah.
And I better let him think it's a good idea, because if I just tell him, hey, I need to do X, Y, Z now.
Right.
They're only going to do it because they have to.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey,
and then it'll only go for so long.
Here's what we're seeing. How do you think we should make this better? How can we fix it? How can we improve it? Like, get them involved, because if they give you an idea and they say, hey, what if I was to do this instead? Boom, dynamite. Let's do that. Let's try it. And check back in. Hey, is that new thing we're trying working? Well, sort of, but here's the, okay, cool. Here's something I've done, right? Because I've done their job. And that's where I'm in a unique situation here, is that I've done all these kind of jobs. So I've seen it, and the guys respect me for it, because they know I'll be out there sweeping the shop or building equipment or doing this or doing that. And so, but yeah, involving people in the decision-making process is huge, because you're affecting their everyday life. You might say, well, we need to hit this metric, this number in your business, right? That's how we kind of look at things. And you go, well, what if I talk to them about it? How can we make this better? How can we improve this? How can we? And they know, because they're doing the job every day. They're the ones talking to the customers. They're the ones that are interacting. So
exactly. Well, you've given us already a shot in the arm of energy. I hope the listeners paying close attention, because man, you're moving fast and I love it. Usually people have to tell me that I'm the shot of energy and that I need to slow down. I'm loving the pace that we're in right now. So
cool. Let's keep going.
We've got you on this employee track, and it all comes to a culmination of actually solidify, be the employee kind of forever and ever, or go the route of chaos, potentially be able to buy in. Obviously you did. It's your business now. You've got all these opportunities to be able to build your team. Would you say that that's been, like, my question of your best decision or your quality decision that you can look back on that we can learn from, is that this, in the process of building a team, give people a level of autonomy and care and focus on the positives, or did you want to add something different?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic takeaway as far as a great decision. Of course, one of them is, don't leave anything behind.
Sure.
Don't be scared to jump in, both feet. Life presents you with all these doors, and you can choose to jump on through, or if you want, you can close it. It's up to you. And so I've just been jumping through open doors, man, and just learning from everybody I can, and just talking.
And it sounds like having a blast doing it.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's what I love. I love sharing knowledge. I love talking to people. I've devoted 15 years of my life to water treatment. And if I can't talk to you about it for 5-10 minutes, gosh, what am I doing, man? I like to joke and say, hey, if you could find a question about water treatment that I can't answer, I'll buy you lunch. And I tell all my employees that, people are into it. It's like, hey, I'll buy you lunch if you can find something. Get them looking, get them intrigued, get them to find out. Because what I love about water treatment is that you never know everything, ever. It's every day you can learn. And so if you're receptive to learning, maybe that's the other thing, right? Being receptive to learning. It's just, and learn how you learn. That's something that took me a long time to find out, is that, how do you learn? Do you learn by listening to something? Do you learn by writing it down? Do you learn by typing it? Do you learn by saying it out loud, or whatever? How do you learn by moving while you're talking? So that's why I think I've been able to have a lot of success, is I realized how I learned. And I can implement that tool to make myself more successful. So I can remember things and stay on things.
Exactly. The psychological piece of not only just remembering it, but it becoming a discipline or a habit, right? Like Atomic Habits, talking about just changing your identity eventually, right? So you've not only embodied the identity of what it means to know water treatment, but your identity is one of jumping through doors. Like you just said it casually, but that is genuinely what you believe. And it's also your identity, which I think every entrepreneur agrees with to a degree. We've all jumped through at least one set of doors. And I think that the takeaway, like you said, is like, look, it's okay. Keep jumping. There's another one, and then there's another one, and there's another one, and potentially there's ups and downs in that, but through the process, there's more to have. I want to flip the coin on you though, William, because you've given me a lot of positivity, a lot of a lot of things have worked out because of this X, Y, Z. What hasn't worked? What was the bad decision that you can think of that we can learn from?
Yeah. Believing I knew what I was doing. And we talked about it in the beginning, making kind of those mistakes of getting in sometimes like, oh, I know what this is, right? Instead of taking the steps that are normally there and going, hey, do I really know? I've made a tremendous amount of mistakes, but I think the mistakes are gifts.
Sure.
Because they always come with a lesson.
Yeah.
You always learn something. And so like, thinking about this question, the mistakes made, it's like, well, gosh, if I didn't make that mistake, I wouldn't have gotten better. So was it a mistake? Right. Or is it just a nature of growing?
Just a step in the process. Yeah, exactly.
Learned a tremendous amount about California sales tax rules. Not because of one of my mistakes, but because somebody else's mistakes. And it presented itself, with an opportunity. Now I know a lot about it. And so it's great. I think one of the things, the biggest lesson is in business, there's only hard lessons.
Yeah.
There's, that's pretty much what it is. And you can learn from it or you don't, but there's, you got to really know, you got to kind of be the expert on a little bit of everything or know somebody, get a good CPA, get a good lawyer, get a good, these things, because you can mire yourself in those details of like reading a contract or something, or you have a guy who you trust, have people you trust to be able to help. Yeah. And that's one of the things. A mistake is I thought, I got to read everything. I got to do all these things. I got to protect my business. Right. I got to hold on to it. And if I give it to somebody else, well, what if they make a mistake? Well, find good people. And if you do a good job, good people seemingly come out the woodwork and you find them. And now you can trust them. And now you can, move some of those eggs out of your basket, knowing that guy's got your best interest or that girl's got your best interest or those people have your best interest. So trying to do everything, man. Yeah, well, it as encompassing as that is, obviously, I love the scapegoat there, which is you have to be good at everything, or somebody who is that you trust. And so, I think that those are two steps, phase one and phase two, if you will, of we all think at the beginning we have to be good at it ourselves. That's what's overwhelming, and we're wearing too many hats, and things are confusing, and we're working night and day, and until you can get to that place where you're like, okay, I'm gonna die, or so I need to hand some of this off, or I need to hire some key people, or I need to find a CPA that I can trust, or whatever it is. It's just a different layer of thinking. Obviously, stems very similar to Henry Ford, when he was under persecution and all that fun stuff of like, I can just hit a button on any part of my desk and summon the right person with the right answer. It is not necessarily about knowing the information. It's about knowing how to get the information. And some of that's in our brain. And so you're 100% right. I think that the idea or the notion of being excellent is something that the listener should take away from you as well, because you've had the chance to go through all these different categories or divisions in your business. Maybe not necessarily every business owner has had that, where they didn't have, multiple years to kind of work on someone else's dime to kind of figure all this stuff out. But the reality is still the same, is that you still got to do it with excellence. And so you either get in there and learn it and do it with excellence, or you hire it out. Like you've given us a very clear roadmap on that. What about now? Like, okay, so you're successful. You got the great mustache, for the listeners that are listening on Apple or Spotify, you can't see this guy's rocking mustache, but in all seriousness, you have a certain level of success now. What does a decision look like coming across your desk now? You mentioned earlier, including people, especially your team members. Is there a certain process that you go through? Is there anything else you want to add to that? Yeah. Okay. So important decisions. Yeah. Interesting you bring this up. So I think this is learning about yourself, right? I think the best when I'm doing something monotonous, right? Okay, yep. Is what I learned about my brain, right? When I'm sweeping the floors in my shop, or I'm doing this or doing this, that's just your body's doing it. You don't have to think about what you're doing. You're getting something accomplished, right? And so I love accomplishing something simple, but it allows me to silence. No podcast, no music, no sound, no one's talking, right? the boss is working, so you get a little bit of like quiet, right? Because like what he's doing something out here in the shop or whatever it is, right?
Right.
That's when we can think, when we turn everything off,
Yeah.
and you're stuck with your own thoughts. And I love that. And so I purposely try to give that to myself every day. So when we're talking about decisions, that's the thinking time. So I can think about it. I can come up with stuff. What do I like? What do I not like? Where do I foresee this going? Right.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, we could start joking, we call it throwing things against the wall. We'll just sit down and talk it out. So we have something going on. We both know that there's whatever we're going to make a decision on. He thinks differently than I do, which is why we're so great together. And so he'll think, I'll think, we come in and meet together and we just throw things against the wall, just throw them rapid fire. What if we did this? What about that? What about this? And then, then what we do is we just shoot each other down. Here's what's wrong. Here's why it won't work. Here's why it's bad. Here's why it's not good. Here's all the things that like all the negative, we want to get all the negative out.
Yeah.
So then we can go instead, okay, what's left?
Yep.
And then of these, what's going to be the best?
Can we
for
make
us,
it work?
Our business? Yeah. How can we make this work? And so that's kind of our decision-making process that we've kind of come up with. And whether it takes an hour or it takes 4 hours, it doesn't matter as long as you get to the seemingly right answer. And then don't fall in love with your answer at the end of it. Because if you fall in love and this is the only way we can do this, well, now you're stuck and committed. But be adaptable, be pliable.
Really good feedback. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to be able to commit to getting the answer, but knowing that at the end of the day, it can change with the wind, and it should actually. That March of 2020 came and changed a lot for a lot of people. So if we don't have that just identity of being pliable, like you're talking about, you're just not going to. You can make it for a little while, but it's just not going to be something that turns into longevity.
You
I want to switch over to our speed round here. You've been in all these different departments in your business and lots of things to track, I'm sure. But if you could only pick one thing to track forever and ever, what would that one thing be?
If we're talking without a metric behind it, right? I think the one thing I would track is the success of my employees, and I have to talk to them.
Sure.
The culture.
Right.
Track the culture, because I think that's the most important thing. Because if the people, if your guys and gals and stuff working for you aren't happy, that means your company's out there not doing things right. That means they're running into people who maybe aren't so happy with our company.
Right.
Or maybe have had issues, or maybe, couldn't get somebody on the phone, or whatever the thing may be. So to me, that's what I would say. Talk to your employees. You'll find out everything you need to know about your business from them. And facilitate a culture in which they're okay talking to you.
Love that. It's got to be a two-way street, a partnership, if you will. Even folks that don't have actual partnership, there's got to be that give and take. And also too, you mentioned it earlier, just the autonomy. When you give someone the ability to think for themselves, or even in a situation with you, it makes them come alive in a different way, but it brings solutions that maybe you aren't aware of because you're not sitting in that seat every single day. So I think that's a huge piece of the culture as well. What book would you recommend, William, to a six-figure business owner trying to grow their business?
Okay. I thought long and hard about this. I narrowed it down to two. All right. So one, just because it was the most influential book in my life and I still use it. So, so precursoring this, when I became the salesman, when I was taking a sales class at college, and I talked to our salesperson here. I said, hey, do you have, because I had to read a book for the class and write about it. And he's like, do you have a book you recommend? So he gave me a book, and he said, he's like, I know nothing about sales. I never had sold in my life. This is how he got into water treatment. He got a job working for a competitor called Rainsoft. And he read this book and he said, I became the #1 salesperson in the country. I'm like, that sounds like a good sales book. So I bought it, and I've been reading it for 10 years now, if not longer. How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins.
Oh, love it. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your one takeaway? Obviously, it's served you well. You keep reading it over and over, but what do you walk away with from that book?
Because I don't read it over and over again. What I did is I cheated, and I made myself a cheat sheet. So every time I read this book, and this is almost full, whole notepad full. And what I do is I extrapolate things. Every time I just turn to random pages and just start reading the book. And whenever it comes to me, I write it down. And this just gives me pearls of wisdom. So instead of having to go back to this book and go, what page was that on? What was this thing? I can find it and I still use it.
That's
and
a
it's
little golden
awesome.
notebook.
Exactly. Yeah, someone still takes this and it's the key to success. So, for our business, a lot of what we're doing is sales based.
Of
And,
course.
in about 4 years, we tripled revenues. We were the fastest growing Culligan by dollars, the only ever single Culligan dealership to do so in 1 year. Most people increase revenues by buying other Culligans. We beat people buying other dealerships, other plumbing companies just on organic growth. And how we did that was just doing things differently, pushing, finding the right people, doing all these things. So that's book number 1. I absolutely love this book because it's been with me. It's been it's literally sits on my bedside table. I sleep next to it every night. My wife's on one side and my Tom is on the other. The other one, because it changed the way I thought, was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Great book.
It made me realize what it means to be a leader and what it means to be an owner and what it means to be somebody that people are looking up to and what it means in your business, right? If something's not done, it's not their fault, it's mine.
Right.
If we screw something up, it's not their fault, it's mine. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Every time. And that right in the beginning, that can kind of be daunting because you're like, gosh, everything's my fault. Like I'm doing everything
especially
wrong.
when you don't think it is.
Right. And so it kind of just, but I love about that idea is it morphs into so many things and it morphs into so many things for you. Once you take that mindset of like, oh, this is my business. This is my things. And then, right, what I love to do is extrapolate, no, this is not my business anymore. It's our business. It's mine and my employees. We take ownership of all this stuff. And if you have a mindset, that's the thing, man. Mindset can spread, right? Yeah. We've all worked somewhere where there's that toxic person, right? It's that thundercloud that comes in and just, you're like, oh, great. This guy's here. What's he going to complain about, right? Yeah, here it comes. And it drags everybody down.
100%.
So for me, attitude's so important because if you get good attitude, it brings everybody up. And you can work that same thing that hampers stuff can also work the opposite. And you can facilitate it. And then it brings everybody up with it and brings positivity to the group. So
the ownership piece of that is the foundation. The negativity or positivity or attitude is obviously the reflection of what they actually believe, whether they have ownership or not. And so I love the picture that you painted there. I've done strategy coaching, sales coaching, entrepreneurship coaching for years. And it's like the one thing I just do not tolerate. I'm a pretty flexible person. As a leader, I think that you have to be. I think that you have to mold yourself in order to communicate well to other people. It's not their responsibility to mold. It's my responsibility to mold. But I'll tell you what, the one thing I just do not tolerate ever is what you're talking about. Negativity or lack of ownership. It's just like that. The cloud that you just referred to, it can spread way faster than you realize. And it does nobody any good, including the person that's delivering it. And so I think that you're spot on with that. Especially for the listener right now, they're trying to grow their business. They're trying to get momentum. Zero chance you get momentum if you have some or at least even one person on your team or you as the entrepreneur, you may not have full ownership in your mindset, which leads to negativity and just this cloud. Like don't be the person. And then of course, don't allow that person in and around you, your family, your business, your team members, your community, everything. Like excommunicate the negative.
Oh, 100%. There's a little quote from an automotive YouTuber. That's my passion is automotive stuff. And I got TJ Hunt, and he always says, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Because once you start that forward trajectory and you get that momentum and that positivity, that success, and you have all the people moving forward too, it's a force.
It is.
You can't stop it.
Yep.
And it just starts unlocking things. For us, it was just growth. We just grew and grew and grew. And how did we grow? Because we were focused on building relationships with our customers. Yeah. And why? Because all the competitors just want to sell you something. and then be done. But that's not us. We're here to take care of you. We have a service department. We have our route. We have this. We have all these things. You can call my company, hit the button for tech support, and my telephone rings. You can get somebody. My business partner, he's the one that does our in-home consults. And why? Because we both enjoy those aspects of the business. We both happen to be good at it. But it's so important to generate that success.
Yeah, love it.
Is to be kind of involved.
Yeah. Okay, I got two last questions here for you. What do you intentionally, or what do you think about intentionally networking or masterminding with other entrepreneurs?
Oh, I love it. It's something that we're working more and more on every day, because there's so much information you can learn from these people. They've been through the situations before. You might be struggling to find the answer to some question, and this whatever who it is, someone you give them a phone call up, and you talk to them and go, hey, have you ever seen this before? And they go, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're probably thinking about doing this, and you're like, yeah, that's what we're thinking. Like, don't do that. It's the worst thing you can do. Do this instead. So it's just you don't always have to have the answer. You don't have to always be the expert. You have to know where to be able to find it. And that's 100%. I think a huge key is like just knowing where to find it. Because I don't know everything. I can't know everything. It's impossible.
Exactly.
But if I know somebody else who's good and somebody else who's good and somebody else is good, now it's our communal knowledge. Now it's everything we have, to make ourselves better. Like I tell my employees, I want one day where I'm asking you questions and you're answering them because I don't know the answer. That's when I get success. When you're better than me. That's our goal. I want you better than me. Don't, you're calling me now looking for answers on stuff or have this or have that. But let's reverse these roles at some point in our relationship.
Yeah. And like you said, whether that's with team members, because I felt the same way about several of my teams where it's like, man, I don't know the answer to this, or I don't know where this is located. And you have to ask, and, someone new inevitably is standing there and they scratch their head and go, wait a second, aren't you the owner? Yes. But that's okay. Like, it's okay to have strong people around you, including the other business owners. I love your perspective of being able to reach into their experiences and network. I think that's the leveraging power of a situation like that. Last question for you, William.
All right.
You're a pretty young guy, so maybe, I don't know, being able to kind of navigate this, but it's still the same question. If you could whisper in the younger William's ear, what would you say?
It'll all be okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. Being somebody who likes things to be perfect all the time, you'll find that's not going to be the case. And there's things that are out of your control, and you can make the best of bad situations and make, the people I bought the business from, he had a parting words of wisdom, right? He said, and whether it's wisdom or not, I don't know. He said, have a drink every day at the end of the day to either celebrate your victories or to the pain of defeat.
Sure.
Because that's every day. Every day is a new day.
Yeah.
And there's so much stress in running a business and owning a business and employees and whether equipment's getting here on time or whatever the things are. There's all these things thrown at you, especially from, this thing.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like to be able to turn that off, and be able to go, hey, that was today. I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to make it better. We're going to fix it. Don't sweat it because there's an answer out there somewhere. And, you persevere. Tomorrow is going to be another day to be able to be successful.
That's right.
And so I think that's part of it. Just don't stress it. Our time is finite. We only have so much, right? All the other things we have there's not a finite amount, but time is.
Yeah.
So we have to use every minute wisely because every minute that goes by is lost forever. It's lost to the ether. We're never getting it back. So you can, it applies to a lot of things, managing between work and home life, And one of the things that I've found, the busier I get, the more I value my time, the more I value time with my kids, with my wife, with my family, doing these things, being ever present for all the things that we do. So,
it makes me think of, I appreciate the humility there, but also just the perspective, because it makes me think of when I go elk hunting in the fall and, you walked 8 or 10 or 12 miles and you carried a big pack and And whether you had an opportunity to shoot or not, you're sitting down at the end. It's been a full day. You're absolutely exhausted. Maybe you're on day 3, 4, or 5, or 6, or 10 of just this repeated beating of the physical body and mind. And you eat some food and you think to yourself, well, tomorrow we'll do it again. Yeah. And that's really what it is like, what it's done. Like I'm out of the woods, the sun's set, like there's no more today in this situation. The only thing I can do at this point is get some rest and go out tomorrow and see what opportunities present themselves. And so I think that just highlights everything you just said, and the mindset that you carry. I want to know if someone listening today wants to connect with you, obviously if they're in your area and they need to get set up with some water treatment, of course, but what if they just want to reach out and find you? How can they connect with you?
Indeed. I'm on Indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best place. I'm not really on any other social stuff. I'm working towards that, but yeah, I'm on there. Sorry, not Indeed. LinkedIn.
Okay. LinkedIn. I'm like,
yeah,
man, I'm missing out here. Yeah. Is there a platform here on Indeed that I didn't know about? I mean, goodness.
I just realized the puzzled look on your face. Yeah,
I'm like,
LinkedIn.
I was letting you go with it. I'm going, man, I'm missing something here. What? I'm going to ask him here in a second how that's going.
Yeah. Go ahead.
LinkedIn.
Man, yeah, look at me there. If you got any kind of weird water treatment stuff, then where you are in the country, man, that's what I love, and I love being part of. And if anybody's kind of in the industry, I just ran into a plumber who works in another state, and we gave each other information because he's like, yeah, when I set up this and this, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm like, well, call me, I'll help you, and like. And it's just one of those things where I love helping people. I love, being able to use my knowledge for good in the world and solving these problems. And if that means that somebody out there can make some money, awesome. Let's do that. Let's make money on this. So
yeah, that's a king mindset, man. You're exuding a lot of what we want right here on the show. You've been incredible with just sharing, and your energy, man, is infectious. I can only imagine what it's like in your office to pound every day, which is incredible. That's the way it should be. I hope that my folks feel that way about me, and I hope that the listener has taken that simple one thing. I mean, there's been so many things you've dropped here today, but if they can take how they feel personally right now after listening to you away, going, okay, how can they deliver that to their team? I think that they'll have learned probably one of the biggest things there is in the business journey. So William, we just so appreciate you. You're an entrepreneur making moves, man. It's been fun to get to know you. I look forward to continuing the relationship. Blessings to your family, to your business, to your team, the whole deal. Thank you for being here.
Oh man, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great experience, learning from you, talking to you, getting to know you a little bit. And it's this moment I will treasure forever. So thank you for it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Gathering the Kings. We hope you got a ton of value today and learned a thing or two about taking your business to 7 figures and beyond. If you desire more and want a community around you to help you get there, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. That's gatheringthekings.com. And I want you to apply for our next Becoming a King 90-day intensive. We are extremely exclusive by nature as a group. What that means is that we're really wanting only the entrepreneurs who take their business and targets super serious to apply. So if that's you think you got what it takes to level up your business, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com and apply. And we will see you on the other side.